It would appear that my most recent video regarding dual bear-up has ruffled a few feathers, particularly among those named and shamed. And whilst I'm still working on my follow-up video regarding Tom Scott's response to this entire issue, I thought it'd be fun to take a break from that and spend a day looking over some of the more colourful criticism I've received. And by colourful, I mean downright laughable, because bloody hell, this gets bad. Though before we can do that, I first need to give a content warning for the following topics: misgendering, transphobia, anti-Semitism, racism, fascism, and child sexual assault. If you like our work and appreciate the research put into each video, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon. You can also support us by liking, commenting, and sharing our work on social media. Hi there, my name's Ethel Thurston, and today we'll be taking a look at some of the many ways in which British transphobe MacLachlan has chosen to lie to her followers in the wake of my expose on dual bear-up. Not only has MacLachlan lied about my apparent failure to properly link her article defending the English Defence League, but she's also gone ahead and lied about the nature of the gender-critical ideology, doing what she does best and whitewashing what is clearly a fascist movement. Again, this is just a quick video thrown together in the space of a single day. I'm having some plumbing issues, which mean I couldn't record video this week even if I had a finished script, something I feel is kind of important for the Tom Scott piece. It's also why I had to reschedule Friday's stream, so I thought this video could act as a way to hold you over until things are sorted. So with that said, let's get down to business, starting with how MacLachlan lied about my references.
So as you may have seen, I issued a statement yesterday saying that his video is telling a pack of lies about me and pointing out that he fails to link to either the blog post that he misquotes from or from the videos I made about the assault. And I also invite Thurston to a live streamed exchange where I will ask him to justify what he says about me in the light of the actual evidence.
I failed to link her article? Oh really? Because I could have sworn that I provided a link to the video script and references near the very top of the description, which is a chaptered Google document that allows you to select the chapter titled References, which takes you right to them. And wouldn't you know it, there it is. Reference 6, just like I show on screen whilst discussing MacLachlan's article. And I use numerical referencing since it's one of, if not the most accessible forms of referencing. There's no guessing involved. When I make a claim, you know this is the exact reference I'm using, and here's where you can find the original source. So what MacLachlan said in her statement simply wasn't true, something I called her out on via Twitter, not only showing evidence of where said references could be found, but also the fact that there's an entire chapter dedicated to them. That part will become important in a second. What's more is, I know MacLachlan saw said post as she goes on to talk about it and even shows it on screen. Not to apologise for her error, oh no. Instead she chooses to engage in some pedantic nitpicking regarding the word linked.
He also told his followers, in a classic case of projecting, the gender-critical fascists are accusing me of refusing to link to the article's videos referenced, since I apparently know I'm lying. Only problem is I do link them, in fact I've gone out of my way to mirror them. Another lie. Link means you link directly below your video where people can see it and click on it instantly and see your original source.
By whose authority does linking mean hosting it in the description? Like, where the fuck did that come from? You can't just invent rules because you have no ground to stand on and were caught lying to your followers. Also, fun fact, the reference list for my dual bear video was more than 8,000 characters. Something that is important to note, seeing how the maximum length of a YouTube description is 5,000 characters. Now, since MacLachlan seems to be having some difficulty understanding this very basic concept, I'll make this as simple as possible. 8,000 is a bigger number than 5,000. My reference list wouldn't fit even if I wanted it to. This is another point made clear on Twitter where, turns out, I don't have MacLachlan blocked, meaning she most certainly saw it. I guess I should go ahead and remedy that quickly. Much better. What's more is, I don't want to host said references in the description, at least not currently due to how YouTube operates. Why? Well, because YouTube has recently taken to flagging links in the same way it does videos. Last year I had a link to an article in which Buck Angel engages in domestic abuse flagged down for violating YouTube's policy on sexually explicit content. This was in spite of the fact that I was linking a transcribed interview, specifically a video interview, that was also hosted on YouTube. Prior to this, I'd always done quick links anytime my reference list grew too large for the description, prioritizing which references are likely to be the most contended. I had to stop putting any references there when YouTube showed me that it was too dangerous to do that, since I'd never be able to tell what would cross the line. Though I did see a problem in how prior to this, I didn't use chapters in Google Documents, I never saw the need. But with new strife comes the need to innovate, and hey presto, the reference chapter was born, bringing easy access to the wanting masses. Though MacLachlan's not quite done lying, not by a long shot.
What Thurston has got is a link to a Google Doc containing within it his entire script. It's about 34 pages long, and buried deep within it, there are no anchor tags to get there quickly. You have to scroll down to page 21, I think, to see that he has copied and pasted the URL of the blog post, but it's not a clickable link. You have to be really determined to find that blog post.
Well, good thing my subscribers are determined little beavers, or I guess owl, alpaca and capybara, as can be seen in both of these screenshots taken whilst responding to MacLachlan's absurdity on Twitter, showing us that people seem to be checking things for themselves just fine. In fact, it's been very rare that, over the last few days, I've opened this document not to see someone checking my references. What's more is, even after I posted the screenshot showing not only the references and where they could be found, but the fact there's a chapter titled References as seen on the far left, what MacLachlan is referring to as an anchor tag, she still chose to lie to her audience, claiming said chapter doesn't exist and that I make people scroll through the entire script like some evil mastermind. Like, how fucking desperate do you have to be to lie about something that is so easily debunked? This just speaks to the general absurdity of gender-critical fascists, the way they warp reality to center on them like a black hole, sucking in and crushing all truth only to emit the Hawking radiation that is their lies. Of course, MacLachlan's not one to miss an opportunity to engage in some projecting, acting as if the lie that I haven't referenced her article is proof that I lied about said article.
If what he said about it was true, why wouldn't he provide a visible direct link as proof, as he does to his own social media? Nor, of course, does he link to any of my videos. He is doing exactly what Joss Pryor did, which was, instead of directing people to original sources so they can see for themselves what happened, he is carefully selecting bits and lying about them, and because his audience is so stupid and he is saying what they want to hear, they believe and they repeat them.
First thing I want to do is say thanks for the suggestion. Problem is, I do link to the original source alongside MacLachlan's article. I link 2 of them in fact. Now, why 2 videos? Well, as mentioned in my original piece, note, I'll be using 2 videos to show what happened due to both of them missing key things at various points. I've also gone ahead and mirrored a copy of both videos so you can check them out. This was me referring to the fact that the video associated with reference 7 didn't include a clear shot of Tara Wolf attempting to slap the camera out of MacLachlan's hand, something that the video associated with reference 8 did. You see Tara in a couple of frames in video 7, but it quickly pans away, and by the time it returns, MacLachlan has already started to approach the human rights protesters. So I matched the videos up using their audio, allowing me to create a seamless experience where there's no blackouts. I don't cut out anything. The only editing involved is switching between the 2 cameras and pausing or speeding up at specific points, depending on what is happening and what I need to say. This was not for my benefit, this was for yours, the viewer, since I wanted you to get the truest sense of what happened. And that included showing Tara Wolf attempting to slap the camera out of MacLachlan's hand, since it didn't really impact what happened next, a point I explained in my original video. So even by the ruling of an incredibly transphobic judicial system, MacLachlan very clearly provoked things. I mean, you don't get to barge into a group of people protesting you and expect nobody to react. And no, someone slapping your camera is no justification to assault a completely different person. Hell, it's not justification to assault anyone. If you were actually afraid when someone slapped your camera, you'd withdraw from the situation, not advance. It's not like MacLachlan's rights are at stake here, as they are for trans people. Interestingly enough, this actually appears to be the origins of Joss Pryor's apparent lie. You see, video 7 is the video that went viral. It's the video that Magdalene Burns used, it's the video posted across news articles, and it's the video that really came to define what happened. Yet it's also the video that doesn't show what Tara Wolfe did. This meant people addressing what happened, people such as Joss Pryor, didn't have access to the information I do now, meaning they missed the whole slapping incident. In fact, the virality of video 7 is very likely a big part of the reason so few people knew about video 8. Hell, even I thought the whole thing started with MacLachlan just deciding to barge into the group of protesters. That was until I came across an article regarding the court case which acknowledged that Tara Wolfe had attempted to slap the camera out of MacLachlan's hand, prompting me to dig a little deeper. An article which, by sheer coincidence, is the very same article Joss Pryor linked when she updated her post as new information became available, ensuring that the people returning to said post had said information. Though again, none of that justifies MacLachlan barging into a group of protesters, assaulting a completely random trans person, dragging them about 10 feet before violently shaking them because a completely different person slapped her camera. That is not how self-defense works, and it is bullshit of MacLachlan to pretend like it does. As for linking MacLachlan's videos on the topic, she is a proven liar and a fascist, so why would I go out of my way to promote her content? I supply the original videos, mirroring them to my own channel so that they're never lost, without commentary from me or anyone else, so that people can make up their own minds. I actually do what MacLachlan is pretending she wants, but that's not good enough, because all she's really after is others promoting her content. Yet, just as those of us working at Essence of Thought don't debate fascists, we also don't promote them. Because yes, MacLachlan is a fascist, a fact I noted in response to her demand that I come on her show and debate her.
So, how did he respond to my invitation? We don't debate fascists. Well, of course, nobody is asking him to debate fascists or even one fascist. I'm asking him to justify his defamatory comments about me and to show the evidence for them live, in front of a live audience. Of course he refuses because the evidence doesn't exist. So Thurston needs to stay in hiding while he defames me and others like the coward he is.
Except you are, as I evidenced in my original response, in how your entire gender-critical ideology is grounded on the belief that a Jewish shadow state is degenerating society and must be stopped, effectively bringing about a rebirth of society. Something I noticed whilst editing is the fact that MacLachlan has a poster pinned on the wall behind her. A poster which reads, "UK women say no to gender ideology," and depicts a couple of women and a small child holding one another, which, holy fuck, she's really wearing it on her sleeve. Like, this is ripped directly from British war propaganda and is implying that trans people fighting for equality are part of some nefarious force coming to take women and children. And as we'll see later with Magdalene Burns, we all know who is accused of funding said efforts. It's Jewish people. They always accuse Jewish people. You also go out of your way to defend white nationalism because an English defence league only makes sense in the mind of someone who thinks there's some exterior force coming to destroy us. Spoiler, there isn't. And no, MacLachlan's video does nothing to disprove that. In fact, the start of this video is merely MacLachlan doubling down on her support for white nationalism whilst asserting she doesn't. Instead, MacLachlan claims that all she's doing when she attempts to downplay the EDL's fascist roots is criticizing the religion of Islam, which conveniently ignores the fact that criticizing Islam does not require one to defend the EDL and their atrocities. She also decides to repeat her tokenization of black people, literally reading out her original article as if this is a good argument and doesn't at all prove everything I'm saying about her.
We had a case where we had an African-American guy who was a fan of mine. Great fan, great guy. In fact, I want to find out what's going on with him. You know what look at my African-American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Sorry, wrong video, my mistake.
In this video, a group of masked EDL supporters, including a couple of black guys, are shown burning a Nazi flag.
Oh no, the xenophobic people who terrorize marginalized groups on a regular basis and were already known for throwing up Nazi salutes by the time you wrote this, burned a cheap piece of fabric in a purely symbolic gesture designed to supply racist people ammunition to pretend like they're not actually fascists. That completely destroys my argument, just like the fact that they, as with MacLachlan, deny being fascist, because it's not like anybody would lie about being fascist or anything. I mean, I talk about how people like Jill Bearup and MacLachlan are engaging in the normalization of fascism in my original video, but normalization is just a silly word that has no actual meaning. Gods, MacLachlan really is a joke. Another thing I feel the need to touch upon is this comment regarding a rather notorious white nationalist who MacLachlan readily admits is one.
Nowadays, the EDL is associated with the notorious Tommy Robinson, and it brings to mind thuggish, Islamophobic football supporters.
Do you know who else is associated with the notorious Tommy Robinson, or Stephen Yatesy Lennon as he's also known? Heads of the UK gender-critical movement, such as Kelly J. Keane-Minchell, or as MacLachlan knows her, my friend and sister.
Bearup and I are not the only women he lies about in his video. My friends and sisters Venice Allen, Linda Bellos, Kelly J. Keane, Alison Bailey and Magdalene Burns, RAP, are also targeted by this despicable man.
And just so we're clear, this was not passing support. Ms. Keane promoted Tommy Robinson to the extent that even certain transphobes like Jean Hatchett left the movement. But MacLachlan's totally not racist for ignoring all this. I mean, come on, she pinky swears that she doesn't support white nationalism, she just happens to surround herself with white nationalists. Speaking of which, we should also talk about the dead anti-Semitic elephant in the room. I speak of course about Magdalene Burns. Ms. Burns was just an unabashed anti-Semite who led the conspiracy that a Jewish cabal was pushing diagnoses of gender dysphoria as a means of sterilizing white children, apparently to weaken white Western civilization. Like, as much as MacLachlan might like to deny the evidence being shown on screen, that doesn't make it go away. Then we have Alison Bailey, someone known for how she sexualizes minors in an attempt to convince people that they're losing, as members of the gender-critical ideology perceive it, a sexual resource.
Up and down the country and around the world, girls are removing breasts that have never known a lover's caress.
As a survivor of childhood sexual assault, let me be the one to state this with certainty. There is no context in which that statement is ever acceptable. As for Venice Allen, again, known sexual predator who was kicked out of the Labour Party for stalking and harassing a teenage girl, posting photos with the intent to threaten and intimidate to Twitter. A fact that is part of public record. Again, these are people MacLachlan defends. These are people she feels kinship with. Thing is, as well as doubling down on her defense of the EDL and announcing her sense of sisterhood for the rest of these bigots and predators, MacLachlan never once shows where I supposedly lied about the Hyde Park incident. She just asserts I did. And you don't have to take my word for that, I've gone ahead and mirrored an unlisted copy of MacLachlan's video. That way you don't need to feel guilty about checking it for yourself, as you're not bolstering her traffic in any way. I've also gone ahead and replaced all links to her blog with one that links to a copy on the Internet Archive for the same reason. Something I should have done to begin with, but hey, we all make mistakes. And yet, I can't help but notice a massive difference in how myself and MacLachlan operate. When I say MacLachlan has lied, I not only show evidence to prove that she's wrong, but evidence to show the fact that she knows she's wrong. I show how the screenshots she displayed have me talking about the chapters she denies exist, or I show the same evidence I used in my original video that she refuses to address, like Ms. Burns' anti-Semitism and Ms. Bailey's sexualization of minors. Meanwhile, when MacLachlan claims I lied, she just asserts it, vaguely gestures at me, and that's it. That's all she ever does. Evidence to MacLachlan is just a fancy word she throws out there to pretend like she has a case, something that can also be seen in her demand that I debate her.
So as you may have seen, I issued a statement yesterday saying that his video is telling a pack of lies about me and pointing out that he fails to link to either the blog post that he misquotes from or from the videos I made about the assault. And I also invite Thurston to a live streamed exchange where I will ask him to justify what he says about me in the light of the actual evidence. So, how did he respond to my invitation? We don't debate fascists. Well, of course, nobody is asking him to debate fascists or even one fascist. I'm asking him to justify his defamatory comments about me and to show the evidence for them live, in front of a live audience. Of course he refuses because the evidence doesn't exist. So Thurston needs to stay in hiding while he defames me and others like the coward he is.
Yet if she actually had that evidence, she would have presented it in this video. Why? Because there's no way she would have passed the opportunity to show me up. But she didn't because she couldn't. What's more is, live debate is never about the actual evidence, it's about showmanship, a person's pizzazz. It's about who's the smoothest talker. That's why young earth creationists love live debate. Public speaking is something they, unlike scientists, have drilled into them. And it's that very same mentality that people like MacLachlan are relying on to advance their ideology. The way of conmen and cheats. I don't know if I'd be able to win in a live debate with MacLachlan. I think that's up in the air. But I know I can win by sticking to planned and referenced responses, you know, the way actual discussion in science and ethics is handled. So yeah, we're not doing it her way, and she'll just have to live with that Ethel-shaped hole in her life. Though in all seriousness, MacLachlan should definitely pick up a journal sometime and read some actual articles. Because currently she seems to be living in a neo-Greek fantasy, where she equates being smart with walking around in sandals and a bedsheet, pontificating upon the nature of humanity. It's a view of the world that most people grow out of during their teenage years. As for why MacLachlan decided to lie to her audience repeatedly in spite of knowing I could prove otherwise, like, we can try to wrestle with the warped thought processes involved with far-right ideologies, but honestly, I think it just comes down to an inability to do anything else. If MacLachlan doesn't lie, then what else does she have? So yeah, it's been a short one. I just saw a chance to further show the absurdity of gender-critical fascism and thought, what the hell? I mean, I still can't get over the fact that she brought up Tommy Robinson like that. Like, mwah. I couldn't have planned that better if I tried. That said, I don't think this is going to become a regular back and forth. As I was responding to MacLachlan, I began to get this creeping feeling. It reminded me of my 2015 run-in with Noel Plum, which was equally as sad and is the reason why that man has had a personal vendetta against me for the past 6 years. This sort of thing is fun as a once-off, but that's all it really is. I'll just say my part and move on. So if you appreciate what we do here and want to help out, please consider becoming one of our wonderful patrons who make all this possible. On that note, we'd just like to thank the following people: Matthew Kovac, Hannah Banghart, Gert Van Vorst, Cthulhu, Higgins the Seagull, and Flynn. And for myself, Udita and Levi, take care now.